Good evening, everybody. So, the last problem of the 4 that we went over today is I throw a student's test against the wall at 2.5 meters per second. The wall is 10 meters away. How long will it take the test to hit the wall? So, this seems like a fairly simple problem, but let's go ahead and set it up the same trusty way we do. Xi plus VIT plus 1/2 AT squared. A equals VF minus VI over T. And my variable list over here, S, Xi, VI, VF, A, and T. Now, the reason, even on a problem that looks simple like this, that I still am going through and setting this up, is I want you guys to see plenty of practice setting up problems. Because there will come a time in the future when we're actually, during our forces unit, working with a lot of variables that look the same, are very near each other, and need to be rederived often if you haven't set it up in an organized fashion. So I want you guys to have this practice now so that later you don't have to learn an extra skill. So I want you to learn this skill while we're doing easier problems. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you have this figured out, great. Still, I need you to do an amount of organization, list whatever variables you're using off to the side, so I can at least see what you're doing when I correct your work. Thanks. So, back to it. Student's test against the wall at 2.5 meters per second. I am throwing it. So it starts. When it leaves my hand, it is 2.5 meters per second. So that means my initial velocity is 2.5 meters per second. Now in this one, we are looking at this little point of fact. I'm not mentioning any final velocity. I'm not mentioning an acceleration. I'm not mentioning a change in velocity. So when you see a problem like that, you are free to assume there is no difference between my initial and my final velocity. You're free to assume my final velocity is 2.5 meters per second, which would mean, since there's no change in VI or VF, your acceleration is 0. Great. And then our S, we know it is 10 meters. Great. And our Xi, our starting point, the palm of my hand, is 0 meters. So let's go ahead and set up our formula. I know that Xi is 0, dropping it right out. A, I know, is 0 because I intuitively know 2.5 meters per second and staying that speed. So 0 times t, what's that? 0. 0 squared, 0. 0 times 1 over 2, 0. All of this becomes 0 and drops right off. I know it's a very easy mistake to make algebraically to say, well, this is 0, so we'll just drop the a and still work with the 1/2 and the t squared. But if you're multiplying anything by 0, you lose it all. So we're left with S equals VIT. Nice and simple. Let's throw our numbers in there. 10 equals 2.5 t, and divide both sides by 2.5. And that's going to result in a 4 seconds for my time. 4 seconds. So I'm actually throwing a student's test, and it's flying across the room for 4 seconds before it hits the wall. It's a really long time. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow in class.